morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, this case of little baby Emmanuel and his POS parents, actually, not just Jake is a POS, Rebecca is a POS as well. Gosh, I hope they find this baby soon. I just hope they find the baby so that poor little Emmanuel can be laid to rest with dignity, because obviously they said they think they're looking for a dead baby, so it's very difficult to find apart from the size, because tiny little baby. But of course, when there's no, a body doesn't give off sort of heat imaging or whatever, you can't search for it in the same way that you might search for a living person. It's just very disagreeable, very horrible, the whole situation. But the good thing is that the parents have been arrested. They're going to be charged. They have been charged. They're going to be arraigned, and all those things that happen in American justice. They're going to go through the system. Won't help little baby Emmanuel. And the more that comes out of this case, and you'll see in this press conference that we're about to watch, just disgusting. The judge who allowed Jake Harrow to be around children after what he did to his previous child, who initially people had said was called Vanessa, but I think the law enforcement agencies in this interview give a different name for her. But anyway, it doesn't matter. She was attacked violently by Jake when she was even younger than baby Emmanuel, only 7 weeks old, I believe, and rendered in need of 24-hour care for the rest of her life due to the injuries that she sustained over a lengthy period. And this is something else that I think is very important coming out of this press conference, is they believe that this baby was abused over a length of time. I mean, he only lived 7 months as far as we know, so it can't be any longer than that, thank goodness. And that he finally succumbed to these injuries, so it probably wasn't the result of one injury. There's 100% certain, you can see on the pictures of little Emmanuel, he'd been abused. He wasn't born like that, with his eyes like that, etc. When they find the body, they'll find out more, of course, about injuries. But it looks, this man, he literally is this great big man, calls himself a man. And he's got to enjoy hurting babies. That's not like just one fit of rage, is it? Or just had enough or whatever. This man is vicious, nasty baby killer. I hope he gets his just desserts in prison, to be honest. And she's not much better, is she? The mum, remember, we looked at these black eyes. We knew her black eye was not genuinely from the day before. And now, of course, it seems it wasn't. Now, there's a limit to what information the police can give out, but I thought I don't know if any of you saw this press conference. It was late last night as far as Spanish time is concerned. Otherwise, I would have come on and talked about it then, but it was just too late. I like to give these cases justice. I don't like coming on too late when I'm tired and I may not give them, the right attention. So I thought, no, I'll go on in the morning and talk about that when I'm fresher. But I found the press conference, I was gasping when I was watching it, because I think, it gave us an insight into how the police feel about the way they, quite often the police can't respond, can they, when they're accused of things or when there's a lot of clickbaiting out there of false information. And some people are saying they went too far in their responses in this press conference. I don't think they did. It's about time people were told, this is law, leave law enforcement alone. They're trying to put together a case and bring about a successful conviction for these horrible people. And you're jeopardizing it by clickbaiting, false information, You know, we had people on this stream the other day, you know, oh, well, I saw this on the telly, or I saw this on this channel, or that's why I don't like other channels being mentioned, because I don't know if what they're saying is true or not. If I mention it, that's different. This is my channel. If I mention it, I have to take the good with the bad. And sometimes even channels or people that I respect give out false information unwittingly. You know, I'm not saying they do it on purpose. With the best, everybody wants justice for Emmanuel. And sometimes people are a little bit too eager, I think, that's all. But the thing is, whatever information I give out on my channel, I take the responsibility if it's not true or it turns out to not be true. But I'm always reluctant to believe, you know, because then you've got your level head as well. You know, when they were saying, oh, they're going to be released and, you know, this, that and the other, you've got your level head that thinks, well, are they though? Are they going to be released? And is there an argument between, you know, they're saying that there was an argument between two jurisdictions of law enforcement, but would there be over a dead baby? You know, you've got your logical head to put on as well. And sometimes I think, you know, I tell you what, if social media, and I'm not only talking about social media, actually, mainstream media is just as bad. If they do get curtailed in their rights for free speech, it'd be their own fault, half of it. Free speech doesn't mean giving out misinformation. Free speech means giving your opinion on things, saying what you think, but doesn't mean, yes, you can just give out false information. That is not free speech, is it? Anyway, so they address this quite a lot in this press conference. As I said, I don't know if you've seen it or not. So we'll be seeing what they had to say. And I found it a very impassioned press conference by the police. Maybe that's right or wrong. Most of the time the police has to stay so quiet. But it was interesting to hear them actually saying what they thought. Okay, but first of all, I'm going to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Above all, thank you for caring about this baby. You know, this is it. Everybody cares about this baby, except for its own parents. Poor Emmanuel. His parents didn't care about him. But other people care about him, and you know, good thoughts, good prayers are going to Emmanuel. That's got to mean something. Just a shame that nobody managed to save him, even the authorities. You know, in fact, the authorities, it's like they signed his death warrant, wasn't it? And you know, in all the 7 months, you see this in all the 7 months that this baby was alive, we think. I mean, because we don't know exactly when he died. He was never visited. They were never visited by Child Protection Services or anything. You know, when you think this is a man with a previous conviction for abusing a baby, and he was just allowed to be there. No visits from Child Protection Services. You know, and they had, of course, a 2-year-old there as well. Well, you know, what? So you can sort of practically kill a baby, walk away practically scot-free. I think he served 1 night in prison, didn't he, or something? And then not even get visited by Child Protection Services when you have another baby. Something wrong in that area, definitely. So, yeah, thank you for caring about Emmanuel, even though his own family didn't. Thank you for those of you who bought me Ko-Fis. Special thank you to my members. We've got really good members live tonight because I've been preparing. I've been looking up sort of pictures of twonks, like people that we talk about on this channel, the perpetrators, and comparing them to pictures. Some are art pictures, some are other twonks, you know, putting them together, and we're just going to have a laugh at their expense tonight in members only. So yeah, if you want to watch that, why not become a member? What else did I want to say? Thank you for your nice emails, nice messages that you leave. Thank you for any positive way you support either my Vicky Marie Chats Crime channel or the Spanish, English and Chats Crime channel. So they could be the people here from probably both channels. Thank you so much. Hi, lovely lurkers. Nice to be with you this Thursday morning. It is 29 degrees here in mainland Spain, which is where I'm based. Hi, loathsome lurkers. Hi, replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now I'm going to come into the chat. There's quite a lot of chatting been going on while I've been waffling on. I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to venture into the chat with me. Let's see. Oh, there's quite a lot of chat in there. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, Angel. Hi, Lily. Hi, Fluffy. Hi, David. Yep, hit the button and show the love. The love. Yeah, don't forget to like me. Very, you know, I was looking at like some channels that I watch that have got like nearly 2 million subscribers. They don't get many likes either, you know, in comparison to the amount of subscribers we've got. I think maybe people forget to like, don't they? I'm very, if I start watching a video on YouTube and as soon as if I've watched more than 5-10 minutes of it, so in other words, I'm enjoying it, I press the like. I don't like every single video that I watch on YouTube, even if it's a regular person that I watch. I do watch a little bit first, make sure I like it. But I was interested to see that, yeah, someone with sort of nearly 2 million subscribers only, and I say only, had 2,000 likes. That's not a big percentage, is it? So I think there's a big percentage of people who don't like videos. But anyway. What girl was attacked, Lily? Do you mean Rebecca, when Rebecca was attacked? Now, did you all watch the press conference? Hi, Liesa. Yeah, David, I think they just forget about the button, and I understand that. And I'd rather you watch than press like, if it, you know, but maybe afterwards you could press live, or as you're coming in, like, I mean, not live, but anyway. Okay, so I don't know if you watched this press conference and what you thought of it, but to me, because you know I've been saying, let's just, sometimes you have to trust you do have to trust law enforcement. They're the ones that deal with these cases. We talk about them, we're interested in them, and that's good, and we can put pressure on you know, on things that we don't believe were dealt with properly. But we're not dealing with it every day. We're not the ones that are going out there and finding bodies, or someone sooner or later is probably going to find a baby's body. God knows what state it will be in, you know, because, yeah, Jake is now saying he rolled over on him in bed. Oh, my God. Well, that would kill a baby, that's for sure, because he's like a beach whale, isn't he? But as if he did that. Maybe he did that with the other little girl as well, eh? Funny that, isn't it, how it keeps rolling over, blubbering over onto these babies. Yeah, 2, you know what I mean? It's like odd, isn't it? So that's not true. We all know it's not true. Jake may be leading the police on a merry dance. That's for sure. He's had plenty of time to do something with Emmanuel's body, and it may be that Emmanuel will never be found. But the police are going to take this to a conviction. And, you know, what we can do to help them get a conviction is to not spread misinformation, is to not react to clickbait. You know, unfortunately, there are a lot of YouTubers out there, and a lot of them have got a lot of subscribers. They're big YouTube channels. That's how they got to be big. That's how they got to be big, by chatting any old shite just for views and subs. That's how they got to be big, some of them. So, you've just always got to be careful. Now, there are some YouTube channels or TikTokers or whatever social media person who are good most of the time, maybe 90% of the time. The information they give is correct and they give quick information. But, you still have to remember every time when they give some information, it's not necessarily true. The only information that you can say is true is what law enforcement come out with and what they can say for their investigation. Of course, once an investigation starts, there's very little that they can say. And that, of course, creates void. So I'm glad they did this press conference, because to me, I think they should do more press conferences. I think that the problem with the press conference, to me, as always, is these journalists that get an opportunity to ask questions, they don't ask the right questions, or they just repeat the same question over and over again. And even though the guy's already said, I can't answer that, then he goes, oh, next question. And they ask exactly the same thing again. And you think, for God's sake, where's your brains? Now, there's something they should have pressed more, in my opinion, in this press conference. Is that fire? Oh, Lily, right, okay. The little girl was 10 weeks old. I thought she was 7 weeks old. But anyway, yeah, I read that she was called Vanessa somewhere, but now in this press conference, it gives her another name. So this is what I mean. You sort of hear all these different things, and anyway, we're going to watch the press conference, and so whatever the law enforcement say, that's the thing. But yeah, I read that she was called Vanessa. That was on another social media channel. So you just said, but don't know. I mean, she may have had more than one name, because often in Hispanic culture they have more than one name, so it could be that, but I don't know. Anyway, in fact, I could Google it right here and now and see what comes up. Let's see. Of course, it probably won't come up. Yeah, because like Rebecca is called Rebecca Renee Harrow. They tend to have two names, but can't see her name coming up anywhere here. Yeah, it says 10 weeks on this, but there's no name. Anyway, at the end of the day, in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter whether it was 7 weeks or 10 weeks. It's, it's a baby, like of a few weeks old. Doesn't make any difference whether it was 7. It doesn't make it better if it was 10 weeks or worse if it was 7 weeks. And her name only matters to her and the family that's looking after her now. The fact that matters is that this piece of shit did this to another baby and then was allowed to walk free and do it to another baby. And God, how that 2-year-old that was also in the household survived, I have no idea. Maybe she's a good baby. Some babies cry more than others, don't they? I was lucky with my son. He was good as far as crying was concerned when he was a baby, but then you have to meet all their needs, don't you? Who knows what was going on in that household? And you could imagine that, yeah, Jake, great big fat lazy POS, he's like, doesn't work, but he'd be annoyed if his nap was interrupted, wouldn't he? Or if he was trying to watch the sport on the telly, or interrupted in his sloth. That you could just see that with Jake. It'd be like everything will revolve around him in that household. And if that baby dares cry, you could imagine he would get irritated. That's probably what happened. But over a prolonged period, according to the press conference, this happened to him over the over over a prolonged period. Not, we're not talking about one burst of rage. You'll see what the guy says here. That baby that survived had healing fractures. So even from the attack where she had to go to hospital because she had brain damage and that and whatever happened, but they were also healing fractures from previous abuse. So we're talking about sustained abuse over a period of time, not one fit of rage where somebody loses control. He's just horrible. He's horrible and she's horrible because she adores him, doesn't she? She absolutely adores him. We'll have a little look at the end about her, when they're in being arraigned and she's looking over at him. Oh, Jake. Oh, my love. God almighty. She loves him more than her own children. Just disgusting people. So let's have a look at this. So did you see it? Let me know if you saw the press conference. I started watching. I thought, oh my God, this is like, wow. And I know this is I think this is the actual police department. Yeah, Riverside County District Attorney. So don't forget, this has happened in California. It crosses two boundaries. You've got the Riverside County and the other, the county where the kidnapping was supposed to have taken place. They're in different counties, but they're working together. And this is it this one? Let me just check, actually. Yeah, it is this one. There are some of the comments underneath. I just think, God, still people slagging off the law enforcement. Why? What do you do with your life? You just think these people, because they actually talked about keyboard warriors in this press conference, some people sort of take it personally. It's like, it's obvious what they mean when they talk about keyboard warriors. They talk about people that spread misinformation. That is like, doesn't take a brain surgeon to work that out. But some people really take offense. So I think it's their defensiveness shows just what sort of people they are. What do they do that's positive in life? Do they go off trying to find murderers and dealing with people like this? Law enforcement aren't perfect. Of course they're not. Just like any profession, not everyone in a profession is going to be brilliant. Do you know what I mean? You put 100 plumbers in a room and probably a couple of them are cowboys. You put teachers in a room, 100 teachers. They're not all going to be good teachers, are they? But God, give them some credit. Some of them are good. And all of them, I think, are pretty hard working, to be honest. And they have to deal with a lot of crap. It's not a job. It's not a job for the faint-hearted, is it? Anyway, let's have a look.
Good morning. My name is Mike Hetchner. I'm the Riverside County District Attorney. Welcome. I want to do a couple of things today. First thing I want to do is introduce the individuals that are here on stage with me.
Same as district attorneys, same as any profession. I don't know whether he's a brilliant district attorney or a terrible district attorney. It's probably depending on the cases he's covered. Some people will say, oh, he's great because their case worked out. Other people will say, oh, no, he's crap because their case didn't work out. At the end of the day, you can have your opinion on as to whether someone is good at their job or not. But giving out misinformation is a different matter.
First off, to my far left, we have Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. We have San Bernardino County Sheriff Sergeant Nicholas Clark. We have San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes.
Morning.
We have Assistant District Attorney Brandon Smith, and then myself. So someone who's not here, I want to thank as well, or introduce as well, Jason Anderson, San Bernardino County District Attorney. I want to start by thanking these gentlemen up here. I want to thank the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office for their professionalism and their cooperation and the great work that they've done here so far. I want to thank Jason Anderson and the San Bernardino DA's office. His Bureau of Investigation has recently formed a high-tech crimes unit. They were instrumental in helping us with this investigation. Let me tell you how things are going to go today. There's going to be several individuals that make statements up here, and then when we're all done with the short statements, I will come back up and we will have a question and answer. I will take questions. I will take all of your questions till there are no more questions.
I'll take all your questions till there are no more questions. Well, do you know what, Nick? They still keep asking just the same question over again. They're so annoying, the press. They've had an opportunity to ask questions and just keep repeating their questions. And something that you'll see as well, which he gets, of course, is Spanish journalist covering this, Spanish-speaking journalist, because this is a Spanish-speaking community in California as well. And he speaks really good Spanish. When the guy asked him a question in Spanish, I wasn't expecting him to answer it in Spanish, and he just flew off in the really good Spanish. So, of course, the Spanish journalists asked the same questions that the English-speaking ones had, but probably for the benefit of Spanish speakers, just to make it clear in Spanish. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. I found this press conference really interesting.
Having said that, there's a lot that we can't say, that I can't say, that nobody up here can say. And the reason is that the defendants in this case have been charged with crimes, serious crimes. And so now they have a presumption of innocence that applies to them. They're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I'm not allowed to prove my case in the court of public opinion. And so there's a lot that we can't say in terms of the facts and the evidence. For that, you will have to come to the court and to the various hearings.
I don't know why he even has to say that. I mean, he does have to say it because people are thick. But, if he shouldn't have to say, I can't try this case in the court of public opinion. We're not back in the Middle Ages where, God, I think sometimes the public, it's like they put them on a ducking stool or something and try them that way. These prosecutions have to go through a complex period. It has to be prepared for the court case. Nothing can go wrong, or even if the person's convicted, it can get thrown out on appeal. Don't people realise that? Do people really think that the police can just go on and say, oh, yeah, this is the evidence we've got, and we think this and we think that? We shouldn't have to say that, really. People surely aren't that stupid that they don't understand that. And I agree with you, Angel, there, what you're saying. Look, they're always, quite often, the police conferences in the UK, they're outside, aren't they? They don't even give them a room. Haven't even got the resources to set up a room to give the press conference, put a flag behind it or whatever. So, of course, in America, they have the American flag, and then that'd be the state's flag, I suppose. In the UK, it's rare that they even get a room, to do their press conference. Quite often, they're just outside on, in a field or something. I mean, and they never give any information either. They give even less than the Americans give. And, it's taken a while probably to prepare these press conferences, to do them properly in this day and age. Because every little thing that comes out in this press conference will be scrutinised. I already noticed on social media this morning, these sort of pseudo news people. And, I'm not criticising them. I enjoy, social media sites like News Nation, etc., Court and Law and Crime, etc. But even them, really, they are YouTubers, basically. So, and I noticed that the things they're concentrating on are like the comments made about the judge and whatever. They're not concentrating on what was said in this press conference. Don't believe misinformation in social media. They're ignoring that because they've all fallen for it, So they're selective as well. That's the other thing you've got to remember. about social media too. And I think we do think about it more now with mainstream media. Mainstream media has got their agenda, they've got their narrative that they're sticking to, but so is our social media. So our social media. It's all very subjective. So you shouldn't take anyone, not even me, just at face value. I have my opinions and my viewpoint, and of course the videos I do project out from that. So you have to watch a selection, don't you? You have to watch all different ones. That's why it's important sometimes to watch like the crappy ones, if you like, or the ones that, in my opinion, don't tell the truth. But you've got to get a rounded view. And even sometimes in the misinformation, there is a tiny bit of correct information. So, the thing is, in this world that we live in now, sometimes I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like you could say it's a good thing that we've got all this information. We can do our own research. We can find out our own things. But also it was a lot simpler when we didn't. I think people were happier in life, to be honest. Maybe it's because they were having the wool pulled over their eyes, but they didn't have so much to think about. This is why I think young people have got this explosion of, poor mental health. So they're being bombarded by information all the time. Where does the truth lie? And you've got a lot to suss out now, whereas years ago, it was on the telly, it'd be on the BBC or something. Be like, oh, that's true, and I'm not saying that's good, but I think it was better for our mental health, to be honest. Because sometimes you think, why should you get all concerned about things that you cannot change anyway? Doesn't matter how much you know about it. Doesn't make it any different. It just makes your mental health worse knowing it.
And see how the case plays out. However, having said that, it's appropriate to have a press conference because it was the defendants in this case that had a press conference first. And they did so in order to tell the public, the media, and ultimately.
Yeah. So they're giving bloody interviews in prison. How is that even allowed? How is that even allowed when they've been charged for the murder of their baby and they're giving interviews in prison? And I don't know if they got paid for it or not, but I sincerely hope they did not get paid for it. Now, I suppose I don't think you could do that in the UK, could you? I don't think that. I don't know about Australia and other countries. You definitely couldn't in Spain, I don't think. But I'm not 100% certain. How can it be that you're allowed to give interviews? Disgusting.
Law enforcement that their child had been kidnapped, when in fact that's not what occurred. And so we're here to clear up some misconceptions and to explain how this case unfolded in terms of the investigation. It involves two counties working very well together. I know everybody up here on this stage, we work well together normally, but in this case, I'm very proud of the work that was done by Riverside County Sheriff, San Bernardino County Sheriff, my office, and also the District Attorney's Office in San Bernardino County. All right, so we'll go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to bring up first San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon.
Thank you, Mike. To Mike's point, I want to thank all of you in the media for covering this, specifically the parents' initial statements to the public while we were trying to find Emmanuel. They became critical as we continued through this investigation. But I want to talk about a little bit about the process because we've seen a number of questions related to Amber Alerts and things like that. So I hope when I finish this that everybody understands kind of the course of the investigation. But the investigation started for us on August 14th. When Rebecca Haro reported that her son had been kidnapped. Folks, within 24 hours through video surveillance, we found inconsistencies in Rebecca's statement. And as a result of that, there was no other vehicle to put out on an Amber Alert or anything. And I know many of you were wondering why that didn't occur. But really, after finding out those inconsistencies in the statement on the initial report, that's where hundreds of hours of investigations have come in by our specialized investigations division to try to get to the bottom of what's really going on here. And when I say hundreds of hours, I'm talking about forensic data on vehicles, phones, and potential crime scenes, judicial authorized search warrants that were served. And through that process, that's where we learned that the jurisdiction of where this has occurred was in Riverside County. So hence the Riverside County DA and Riverside County Sheriff's Department, which I can't stress enough. We've had a long-term partnership. We work well together and we know how to get things done in these environments. But that's why the jurisdiction had changed from the original jurisdiction that was reported in, which is Yucaipa, California. But as we went through that portion of the investigation and realized that these things that had happened in Riverside County, you saw the culmination of all the different entities get involved. And going back to what Mike mentioned about the DA's office in San Bernardino County and high-tech crimes, forensically, there are a number of things that we were able to prove up that we're not going to be able to share today exactly how we did that, but there is a tremendous amount of evidence that suggests that the initial story posed was not the correct story. So in that partnership with our agencies, I'm going to introduce my partner, Chad Bianco, where this crossover occurred at Riverside, and we reached out to Mike, who's obviously filing the case, and of course, Chad to assist us in the investigation. Chad?
Now, that guy was quite sort of reasoned, but wait till this guy starts. This is the guy that has had the most criticism. But, you know, I think he's just a human being, and I'm glad he said what he said.
Thank you. Like Sheriff Dicus, I just want to thank all of you for, especially the normal mainstream media, for your attention to this and for your cooperation in this as we were assisting San Bernardino in this investigation, trying to originally find a missing baby, but then eventually quickly learning that that investigation was not something that it started as. Not so much for social media and keyboard warriors who, quite honestly.
Anyway, I've left them a comment on their email. I said, please don't tar us all with this, the same brush. I might actually email him and say the same thing, because that, unfortunately, is what happens. He's just, you know, putting the whole of social media all together. Not everybody clickbaits.
Sometimes hamper and prevent us from a good investigation. I do want to expand a little bit about our relationship with San Bernardino. A lot from the media, a lot of questions have been raised about jurisdiction. And what Sheriff Dicus and I routinely talk about to our own communities isn't really necessarily displayed in the media or said to the media, but neither one of us care about jurisdiction. Our belief is that the Inland Empire is better served when we are cooperating and working together. And in this investigation, from the very beginning, it was obvious that it could involve both counties. When something like that happens, particularly in this case, the original investigation began with Sheriff Dicus, and if he chooses to take it to the end, he will, which obviously he did. And my position is Sheriff Dicus is responsible for this and the assistance of my department. So there is no asking us. There is no anything like that. It is, we have to serve our public best. And he has every single available resource that the Riverside County Sheriff's Office has to offer to make sure that we provide justice in this case. This is an
You know, and that makes sense, doesn't it? It's saying as if jurisdictions matter when it's coming to solving the case of a missing baby or dead baby. You know, I think it is insulting to think that law enforcement, whatever you think of them, and they're not, as I say, they're not, of course, they're not perfect. They're human beings. They are people. They're not AI. They're people, and there'll be good people and bad people in law enforcement, just like there are good people and bad people in all walks of life. Some bad people will be drawn towards law enforcement because of the power it gives them. But I think when it comes to a case of a dead baby, I think we could all agree that they're all just wanting to solve this, find the baby, put it to rest, get these horrible parents prosecuted. And it must be, as a police officer, whether it's in America or anywhere, it must be annoying when you read all these things on social media about you and you can't even say anything because, you know, law enforcement in general aren't allowed to speak out, are they? But then every other twonk can criticize them and do this. There was one person left a comment on here and said, know your place to this sheriff. Know your place. You're paid by us, but how dare you call us keyboard warriors or something? I thought, know your place. What is he doing every day to help anybody, or she? Do you know, like, you know your place. You're making a comment on a YouTube video, you know, get out there and help, you know, save us from the bad guys. No one's going to ring you when they need help. They're going to ring the police. Whether you like them, don't like them, whatever. If you were in a situation, you would need, it's the police you would ring. You wouldn't ring this idiot who's saying, know your place. You know, so it just sort of beyond me. Because, listen, I don't think the police are above reproach. Of course they're not. Especially in the past more. I think in today's society, they are a bit more accountable because of social media, ironically. You know, but yeah, years ago, I think that it was a different matter. But even then, even years ago, when there probably was corruption in high places, there probably still is now. But this is a case of a missing baby who's dead. I don't think that's nothing to do with money. It's nothing to do with, you know, corruption normally happens as far as either, it's normally to do with sex or money, isn't it? But I think everybody would be united in wanting this case to be solved. So anyway, that's just my opinion. I'm not going to bang on about it all the time anymore. He's going to bang on about it to me now.
Investigation with both agencies that ultimately is headed by the supervisor of the Detective Bureau from the Sheriff's Office in San Bernardino. But the cooperation, as you can see, between the both counties is what is going to bring this to a successful conclusion. There is absolutely nothing, no crime more important than the injury of a human being, particularly a child. And the amount of resources that were expended to find this baby and to ultimately bring the people to justice responsible for the loss of this baby, I can't even tell you the amount of resources that were expended in this. It is a massive investigation that will obviously be ongoing, and we appreciate your efforts. This involves a lot of things, though, from us, and hopefully there are more questions to be answered, but I'll end it by saying this before we get into more questions specifically about this case. This was preventable in numerous ways.
Yeah.
The amount of response we have had from the public, the enormous anger that a child was not only originally thought to be kidnapped, but then presumably murdered, kind of warms my heart a little bit, that there is compassion still out there. There is care about other people. There is, people actually do care about other people. There is absolutely nothing worse than harming a baby. Broken bones, injuries, life-altering trauma. And had that case been successfully handled how it should have been, Emmanuel would still be with us today.
Yeah, so this was another, my jaw was dropping when I was watching this, because we all know, we've all talked about it on the channel. We know that that judge made a complete cock-up of the sentencing on Jake. Now, we know that was unusual for the police to come out and say things like this. Now, maybe they're trying to pass the buck a little bit, blame the judge, but from what I can gather, it was the judge who decided. The district attorney's office recommended prison for him. They said he should go to prison. They, they tried their best, but the judge gave Jake another chance, despite the fact that poor baby had healing injuries, not just the injuries when she was taken to hospital. They weren't just the injuries from that particular attack. She had other injuries. There were, it was obvious that she'd been abused over a lengthy period of time. Well, 10 weeks anyway, the 10 weeks that she'd been alive. Can you imagine systematically abusing a baby so that it's got fractured bones? Do you know how difficult it is to fracture a baby's bones as well? Because, of course, when human beings are born, their bones are very pliable. It takes quite a long time for them to harden and set. One of my nieces many years ago was hit by a car right in front of us. We went to pick her up from school. I was with my sister and probably some of her other children there. I can't remember the full details. And she come running out. This car just whacked into her. She went up in the air. She was, how old was she? About 5, maybe. I honestly don't remember her age. But she was lucky because, she had to be taken to hospital. I can't remember if she'd fractured anything. But the doctors told us, that luckily children's bones are much more malleable, than ours are. Once you're an adult, then your bones, it's easier to break your bone, really, because your bones are set. Whereas when your bones are flexible, it's quite hard. They're harder to break. But he managed to break this little tiny baby's bones or fracture them. So, this indignation that this guy's coming out is the indignation that we've all felt, wasn't it? We were all saying the same thing. It's very unusual, isn't it, for the authorities to actually comment. They normally say no comment. But you can see this guy's really angry.
So I thank you all for taking the time and the effort to make sure that the world sees this investigation, and we will successfully bring it to conclusion with the help of both DA's offices.
Thank you, Sheriff. I neglected to mention that Sergeant Nicholas Clark is the lead investigator on this case. So even though he's San Bernardino County, he will be functioning as the lead investigator on this case, which is ongoing. The investigation is ongoing, even though we have filed charges. And then Brandon Smith is going to be the lead prosecutor on the case, obviously Riverside County prosecutor. And with that, obviously, you all know, yesterday in court, we filed murder charges on both Jake and Rebecca Haro. We also filing of a false police report. And with that, I will take questions. I know you're going to have a lot of questions. I do want to lay some ground rules. The way we do it here is don't shout at me, no chaos, just raise your hand. I ask you to ask me one question at a time. I'll do my best.
Oh, he's very authoritative, isn't he? He's quite nice as well. It's like, don't shout at me, he's telling him, he's laying it out straight. I like straight talking people. He's got this lovely suit on and his old. See, the thing is, I like suits, ties, I like uniforms, which is probably why I like sheriffs. But, people should look the part. You don't want a DA coming on and he's in a T-shirt and shorts. Do you know what I mean? This is like, he looks the part. I like the way he's telling, and I like the way he conducted the press conference. You can't take any crap from people. You've got to, even from journalists, they're having the press conference. He's told them he will take every question that is asked, but he's saying he doesn't want any chaos. And the other thing I liked about this press conference is you can actually hear the questions as well. Because quite often we watch press conferences, don't we? And you hear the answers, but you never heard the question in the first place. But it seems to be, I just think it's been set up very efficiently, personally.
To call on everybody. When we've gotten through everyone who has a question, then we can go back and ask more follow-ups. Okay. So I'll start here on the front row. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Stephanie with CNN. My question is, first of all, do you have any idea where baby Emmanuel is at this point?
Yes, we have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are.
So that's interesting. So no notice, because later on someone says to him, oh, you said you know where he is. And he said, no, I didn't say. They don't even listen, do they, either, these mainstream media journalists? They don't listen they ask a question, they don't listen to the answer. So what he said is he's got a very good idea of where baby Emmanuel's remains are. That's what he said. Didn't say we know where they are exactly. He didn't say anything more than that. Let's listen to it again, just so people are, are sure. Because later on, you think, do these and the thing is, these mainstream media journalists, they're the ones that go back then, report on what they've heard, and then we as social media, we think, they're mainstream media, they're supposed to follow their due diligence. We believe what they say. But they don't even listen to the answer. They ask the question. I'm not saying this lady, I'm talking about later, you'll see. People come on and say things and you think, where did they even get that from?
When we've gotten through everyone who has a question, then we can go back and ask more follow-ups. Okay. So I'll start here on the front row. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Stephanie with CNN. My question is, first of all, do you have any idea where baby Emmanuel is at this point?
You know, yes, we have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are. So that investigation is ongoing at this time. Yes, go ahead.
Matt Johnson, Court TV. What was the information that led to the initial search off the 60 in Moreno Valley?
Sheriff, you want to take that?
I'm not going to go into grave detail about that, but there is some level of cooperation with the suspects involved in this, and we're trying to locate that. And our job is to follow every lead before.
So notice what it says. So it says there's some level of cooperation. Now, I know they're asking whatever questions, but they cannot give specifics because it is an investigation. But anyway, so let's listen to what he's saying. He's saying there is some level of cooperation. That's his exact words. He's not saying, oh, Jake's cooperating with us, or he's not saying, oh, Rebecca's cooperating with us, or he's not saying they're being really helpful. He said there is some level of cooperation. Now, of course, whatever level of cooperation there is, we don't know that it's genuine. Jake could be, as you said, David, he could be leading them on a wild goose chase. He could be just talking a right load of crap just to divert them away from where he really actually disposed of Emmanuel. So, we have to take it all with a pinch of salt.
For the rest of the room here, we have to understand what you're dealing with is an experienced child abuser.
Exactly.
That is aware of a previous case, that is aware of evidentiary things that we are certainly concerned with. So we're going to take.
Yeah, an experienced child abuser who's been arrested before, who's got away with it before, hasn't he? He got away. God, he must have been laughing up his sleeve when he got away with battering that poor baby and leaving her disabled for the rest of her life. He must have thought it was fantastic he got away with it. So he thinks he can get away with it again with Emmanuel. Well, we only can hope that he can't. But time will tell. Unfortunately, it's all time. I personally think they're going to find Emmanuel, but they may not. They may never find him. They didn't find Harmon in Montgomery, did they? But having said that, they still prosecuted her father for her death, and he's still been found guilty and he's got his life sentence. So that's not to say that they won't be able to prosecute these two people, even if they don't find Emmanuel. But yeah, what they're dealing with Jake Harrow. He knows how the system works. He's beat the system once, and I'm 100% certain he thinks he can beat it again. Because if he says he's blubbered over on that baby, and they can't prove that he hasn't, that'd be difficult, but not impossible.
Take every step to not only work with any suspect or witness involved in this, because at the end of the day, we have to bring a case to Mike and they have to charge it. And we have to make sure that every single thing, no matter what is told to us or what we discover in terms of evidence, is the right thing and that we follow it up extensively.
Okay, who's next? I'll go to you first and then G. Go ahead.
T.G. Garcia with Fox 11 News. Do you believe you know how baby Emmanuel died or was killed, and is there anything you can share?
The filing in this case reflects our belief that baby Emmanuel was abused, a victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of that abuse, he succumbed to those injuries. That's what we believe. Yes, sir.
Eddie with Action Eye News. I noticed on the arrest records and the booking records that they do have Jake Harrell as murder with malice and also another murder charge as well. Is there a second murderer, or can you explain why there's two booking?
We charged both Jake and Rebecca with murder. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
This is in reference to what Chad was talking about, but can you go into some detail about that case in 2023 and what happened there?
Sure.
From my understanding, was
Yes, I will. So in 2018, Jay Caro with his ex-wife, there's another child who they were prosecuted for child abuse as well, child neglect, cruelty. That child was also an infant, and that came to the courts, arrested in 2018. It came in to the courts in 2023. We had charged various felony crimes, child abuse.
Now that was interesting. Well, it took ages for it to come to the courts as well. Let's just listen to that again. Was it? Let's see.
They were prosecuted for child abuse as well, child neglect, cruelty. That child was also an infant, and that came to the courts, arrested in 2018. It came in to the courts in 2023.
Arrested in 2018 and came to the courts in 2023. Oh my God, what? 5 years it took for it to come to court, and when it came to court, he hardly even got any punishment. They need a big they need a big upgrade of their system there, one way or another. To take 5 years to come to court, and then the judge decided he deserved a second chance.
We had charged various felony crimes, child abuse, child cruelty, and our indication or what we wanted out of the case was prison. We believed it was a prison case, and that Jay Caro should have gone to prison. Jay Caro pled straight up to the court, which sometimes reporters get this wrong, and you call it a plea bargain. Judges are not allowed to plea bargain. Defendants can plea bargain with the prosecutor, but when a defendant pleads up to the court, they plead to everything that they've been charged with, and they're essentially throwing themselves on the mercy of the court. In this case, a judge here in Riverside County, happened to have been a visiting judge from San Bernardino County, gave Mr. Haro a suspended sentence, which means, if I can translate for you what that is, it means that instead of sending him to prison, he chose to give him probation and suspend prison time sort of over his head, meaning that if he violated his probation, he would then go to prison. My prosecutor in the courtroom objected to that and said on the record, we object. We think it's a prison case. You should send him to prison.
That judge, is he on something? Is he really on something? So gave him a suspended sentence for what he did. My God, you get more for drinking and driving, or drug possession or something like that. Well, babies don't count in a capitalist society. I've said this a million times. They don't produce, so they don't count, especially poor people's babies. It's like, just doesn't count at all. And I've noticed that in America. I'm sorry for any American viewers, but in America, unless you're rich, you don't mean anything. I was watching last night on Netflix the documentary about the Hurricane Katrina. Oh my God. Those were all poor people. Poor people were just left, hung out to dry, literally, after Hurricane Katrina. It's like, you don't count. It's all about money in that society. It's disgusting. This baby didn't count even enough for the judge to give a proper sentence. He gave a suspended sentence. And you could have drug possession of, rob a bank or whatever, you get more of a sentence.
And the judge decided, as is the judge's right to do in that case, he decided that Mr. Haro deserved an extra break and gave him probation
an extra
and
break.
Basically 180 days of work release, which ends up being like community service.
Oh, community service. Oh my God, I'm getting really angry. God, he deserved another break. What, to break another baby's legs or arm, or what sort of break did he deserve? Another punch? Oh my God. That judge, honestly, I hope there's some retribution against that judge. I don't mean like, vigilante retribution. He should be removed as a judge. How did he even get to be a judge? Why did he give such leniency to such a heinous crime? Anybody would find that a heinous crime. What is wrong with that guy?
I will say that it was an outrageous error in judgment by this judge. And I don't have any problem saying that. I'm not attacking the judge personally. That decision was absolutely outrageous. Mr. Hauer should have been in prison.
I like the way he says, I'm not attacking the judge personally, but it was outrageous. Yeah, get angry.
At the time that this crime happened,
I think sometimes people don't get angry enough. I mean, I know you've got to be level about things, but sometimes you have to get angry because this is terrible. This is just awful. People deserve to get more angry about this. Get angry about immigrants, this, blah, 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 blah. Get angry about this. This is a judge that allowed this monster to walk free. So that judge needs to go.
If that judge had done his job as he should have done, Emmanuel would be alive today. And that's a shame, and it's an outrage. And I hate to say that, but when our criminal justice system breaks down, I'm going to just call it like it is and tell you it broke down. It's not how it's supposed to work. The judge had obviously meant well. At the end of their sentence, he told Jake, I'm giving you a big break today. Don't mess it up. But I want to point something out to you. I want to read to you the injuries. The child's name is Carolina.
Yeah, so he says Carolina. Now, I've heard Vanessa, somebody said earlier, I think it was you, Lily, could be that her name was changed or whatever. But this is the first time I've heard the name Carolina. But, but to be honest, when you look around on Google, it doesn't come up with a name very often. It's probably... Anyway, so he's saying this. Now, I just want to give you a trigger warning because he's going to go through the injuries to Carolina. Which we have talked about them on a previous stream, but if you haven't heard them, they're very upsetting. But it makes you even more incredulous that this man was allowed to walk free.
She's still alive today, but she is permanently bedridden. She has permanent damage, cerebral palsy, that is a result of long-term child abuse. I want to read to you the injuries that were presented in court to this judge at the time of that previous prosecution. Acute fracture of the posterior left rib, fifth rib, healing fractures of the posterior lateral 6th, 7th, and 10th through 12th ribs, healing fractures of the 6th and 9th through 12th ribs, partial bone fracture of the skull, brain hemorrhage, significant prevertebral soft tissue swelling of the neck, and a healing tibia fracture of the right leg. This is severe abuse for an infant. And so whatever you think of the criminal justice system and people need a break, someone who does that to a child belongs in prison, period. Next question.
Can you tell us a little bit about her background? If she has prior convictions or child abuse cases, Rebecca?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, so I had to just pop out there. I didn't want to listen to those injuries again, but I have listened to them. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, that this 2-year-old child that they've just taken off them, wonder if they've x-rayed her. Do you think she's got any healing fractures? I can't believe that 2 babies that have been abused by this big POS, that the third one has escaped without any injuries. I just don't believe it. He's probably abused all his children. So I wonder if they've taken the 2-year-old away, and I wonder if they've given her an x-ray and found anything, any healing fractures. God, what a piece of shit he is, complete. Right, sorry, I missed that question. Let me just go back to it again.
And so, whatever you think of the criminal justice system and people need a break, someone who does that to a child belongs in prison, period.
Exactly.
Next question.
Can you tell us a little bit about her background? I think she has prior convictions or child abuse cases, Rebecca?
Not to my knowledge, no. Yes.
So, according to him, not to his knowledge, Rebecca has no history. Jake has this history, but Rebecca has no history of child abuse. But, you know, there's just because you're not guilty, she may not be the person who did it, but she's acquiesced to it, hasn't she? You know, basically, she's been charged for murder as well, because whether she did it or not, she knew about it. And it's obvious she knew about it, because she wouldn't have gone through that ridiculous story of little Emmanuel being kidnapped, would she? Unless she knew about it. So, you know, she is just as guilty. So you can, although she's never been charged with child abuse, that doesn't mean to say she hasn't stood by before and watched children being abused. That's just as guilty in my eyes as doing it.
Looked at how Emmanuel's eyes are and said that is one of the signs of shaken baby syndrome. Do you believe that he has been responding the way he is in videos and does have the eye, I guess lazy eye for lack of better words? Do you believe that he was shaken before and that's the reason?
You know, I'm not going to, I can't speculate. What I'll say, I'll repeat what I already said. We believe that Emmanuel was severely abused over a period of time, and that that's the reason for the filing the way it was, is that he was abused over a period of time. Both parents would have been aware of that abuse. I've already called on you, so I'm going to exhaust. Yes, sir.
Sir, forgive me. Ahmed Belloso on the Tira. I've been working this case diligently. I have a two-part question.
No, one question, sir. One question.
Thank you. Since you said that you do know where the remains are, can you?
I didn't say that, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me.
I didn't say I know where the remains are.
Can you tell us if?
Yeah, this is the idiot. Sorry, maybe he's not an idiot. Maybe he's a lovely person, but I think it was an idiotic thing to say. He said earlier they had an idea of where the remains may be, and now he's coming out and saying, "No, you said you know where the remains are," and he's saying, "I did not say that." He must think, "Oh, do you not even listen?"
Fact, a little bit more detail. So if you do know anything, so I can stop looking, please.
So he said to him, "If you do know anything, can I stop looking?" Well, you shouldn't be looking in the first place. Unless the police have asked for volunteers to help look, you shouldn't be looking. Anyway, he'll get told off in a minute.
I'm here. I'm in this every day. No disrespect. Trust me. I understand who you are. But can you please, if you have information here where you know something, can you please, so I could get some rest?
Well, you should get some rest.
What an idiot. Can you say something so I can get some rest? Oh, well, fuck off. It's all about you, isn't it? It's all about you. You are the center of the universe. They've just got to concentrate on making sure you can get some rest. Not finding this baby or, you know, giving resolution to the rest of the family or whatever, or, you know, recovering from the trauma of them having to search for a baby, and they've probably all got children of their own. But just so you can get some rest. I think he did look, he's really angry. You can see that he's angry, but he deals with him really well. I think the other guy comes on and says something as well.
Sir.
Thank you.
You should get some rest. But no, I can't share with you anything.
That's fine.
Look, there are professionals that are looking for the remains of this child.
You
if
idiot.
the public has any information, then we ask for their help. So we don't know exactly where the remains are. We have some ideas in terms of where we're going to look and where we're going to continue to investigate. Yes, sir, all the way in the back.
Can you please elaborate more on how you suspect that baby Emmanuel had been abused over a period of time?
No, I'm not going to do that. That's unfortunately, I understand it's an obvious question, but I just can't go into it. Those are things that the evidence will be presented in court, and I'll have to wait till we do that. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Can you explain, I know they both have charges filed against them, but do you believe that Jake or Rebecca
both were actively involved in abusing Emmanuel, or like was she just complicit in what he was doing, or the other way around? Can you explain any more of that?
All I can explain is what we've filed. We filed murder charges on both of them and making a false police report on both of them. So you can extrapolate that we believe that both of them are guilty, that we can prove it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt for both the murder and the filing of the false police report. You know, how it breaks down as to who did what, that also has to wait for the trial. So let me go this way.
En español, Jaime García de Univisión.
Okay.
Procurador, básicamente, si nos puede hablar exactamente de este caso de 2023 que dice usted comenzó en 2010.
Now, this is where this Spanish journalist suddenly starts asking, really, he's basically asking him what he has already answered, but in English. So he's saying to him, can you let us know exactly what happened in 2018, you know, with the case of Carolina, was it, the other child? When I watched this, I thought, oh gosh, it looks like, and then suddenly comes out in perfect Spanish.
18, y pudiera ser el eslabón que hubiera evitado en caso de que el juez hubiera dictaminado una sentencia diferente que este niño Emmanuel estuviera vivo. Gracias.
So basically, he's just said what he has said earlier, that if the judge would have come to a different sentence, Emmanuel would probably be still alive now. And then he, as I say, for anybody who doesn't know, if you're watching me for the first time, the reason I know that he's speaking perfect Spanish is I am a Spanish teacher. That's my other life. And so when he suddenly came out with all this Spanish, I thought, oh, good for him.
Ya dije lo que puedo decir. Fue una tragedia increíble y no hubiera sucedido. El juez.
So he says it's a terrible, an incredible tragedy. It should never have happened. The judge was crap. Basically, this is what he's saying.
Hizo un gran error.
Big mistake.
Y juzgó mal. Y el sistema se quebró ese día. Jueces, fiscales, defensores, todos tenemos un deber y tenemos que hacer.
So he's saying that judges, DAs, etc., and we all have a responsibility.
Nuestro deber en nuestro trabajo.
Our responsibility in our job is to protect, and the judge did terrible, basically. So.
Todo lo que puedo decir.
That's all I can
básicamente,
say.
No debió de haberle dado la libertad bajo palabra.
Claro que no. Le dio.
So he says to him, can you confirm then they should never have set him free? And he says, no, of course not. He should never have set him free.
Libertad condicional, y esto fue un caso de prisión. Cuando uno hace daño así a un niño, debería ir a prisión. Eso es lo que dice la ley. La ley dice que.
So he's saying the law says in a case like this with damage, injury to a child, it is a prison case. It's unequivocal in the law. He should never have been released.
La sentencia debe ser prisión por crímenes de este nivel de gravedad. Y
The sentence should always be prison according to the law for these serious crimes.
Y en este caso le dio probation.
But in this case, they gave him probation. So he's obviously casting around for the Spanish word for probation, which I've got to say, I don't think I know, to be honest. Not sort of, I think it's libertad con something. So liberty with conditions. Libertad con condiciones, possibly. Let me just check. Yeah, libertad condicional, you know, conditional liberty, probation. And he ended up saying probation because he obviously didn't know. The libertad condicional, he should have had.
Okay.
He got.
Let me go to you. I haven't called him.
Reporting on the News Nation, there's been rumors that Emmanuel hadn't been seen for days or even weeks prior to August 14th. Can you speak to that at all?
No, unfortunately, I can't. That has to wait for the trial to come out. Yes, sir.
Jeffrey Davidson with T News Network. Given the history that Jake has been obviously charged with previous child abuse cases, Has CPS been involved with Emmanuel throughout his life at all, or have they ever checked up on the parents?
To my knowledge, CPS has not been involved with Emmanuel. I don't believe there was any.
Don't you think that's disgusting? So despite this father having already been, whether it was bloody probation or whatever it was, he was charged with child abuse. Serious child abuse, you know, this prolonged child abuse with the other little baby. Despite that, through baby Emmanuel's short life, nobody went out to visit to see if everything was okay in that home. Nobody, even though he was on probation for child abuse. It's just incredible, isn't it?
CPS involvement in this current case. Let me go. I've already called on you. So have I called on you already? No, go ahead, please.
Julian Smuckler with KTLA 5 News. We're hearing some reports of a confession made in jail regarding Jake Carl.
Oh.
Obviously, you're limited in what you can say, but is there any validity to some of those rumors? And what have you heard from Becca in jail?
I can tell you that that's not true.
It's not true. No. God, he must think, bloody hell. You know, why do people that honestly, I could go do a video, put it out later, say Jake confesses in prison, or Jake says Rebecca is innocent, like, you know, the rubbish that people come out with. And I know I could do that. It would get a lot more views than the videos that I do, because I always try and stick to what we actually know. I will never be a clickbaiter. If I stay a small channel forever, for the rest of my life, I'd rather do that, knowing that the videos that I put out, I can sleep at night not thinking I lied in that, or, you know, just repeated misinformation. I could stay like that forever, because it's just not, it's a hindrance to the investigations. If it's not in this case, because the family are the people that are being, you know, are actually responsible. But in other cases, it's disrespectful to the families of the victims, must cause so much distress. So that's never going to be me. But, you know, they must get so irritated at these rumours. And these rumours are proper. I'm not even talking about what you would normally understand as clickbait channels here. Some of the more reputable channels was repeating this crap without finding out if it was true or not first.
So there's no confession made in jail. I'll go back there and then I'll come back to you, Rob. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
You're not on KSP News. Can you tell us how many kids Jake and Rebecca had were in their home the time of the arrest? We know a 2-year-old was taken. We saw CPS. Riverside Sheriff's Deputy stating CPS calls. How many kids did they have in their home?
Well, there's the 2-year-old and then baby Emmanuel.
Baby Emmanuel.
Yeah. Going back there, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Joy Benedict, KCAL News. My question is, how difficult is it going to be to try this case without finding baby Emmanuel?
You know, a no-body homicide is always difficult, but obviously with an infant, we know that baby Emmanuel didn't, you know, leave on his own, or is not, you know, didn't leave town. Obviously, it's a little different when you're talking about an infant, but we have a lot of experience in this county trying no-body homicides, and we're confident that we can gain convictions in this case. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us more about the search on Sunday? What led to that field and why that area?
Well, I think Sheriff Dyke has already explained that. I answered that question by saying there's been a level of cooperation with the defendants. So that's why they went to that area. But beyond that, that's all I can say. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think the obvious question is, what happened then? I mean, we did hear those reports. My coworker just asked about the jail confession. Their authorities used a fake inmate to get information, and the father confessed that.
Well, see, that's not true. So I don't know where you. Well, no. See, this is what happens when you've got all these folks out there online and these keyboard warriors. You get a lot of misinformation, and what you just said is not true. It's misinformation.
I mean, how many times can he say it's not true and then they repeat it back? For God's sake, it must be so frustrating for him.
So that's what I'll tell you did not happen.
Okay, but you
Okay.
can't say what There's no information as to.
I can't talk about the facts of the case. Well, no, I'm giving you information about baby Emmanuel. I'm giving you information about the cases and the investigation, but what you just said did not happen. So, that's not, I can't be responsible for when you guys get it wrong. Go ahead.
Exactly. I bet he feels like saying, no, just fuck off. But so what you said was he didn't, he's a lot nicer person than me. Though he's probably constrained by his position to tell her what he really thinks. But how many times can he say it's not true? It's not true, and it's not his fault if she believes something that somebody else said that wasn't true. It's not his fault, is it?
I know you have not found the remains yet, but based on the level of cooperation of the suspects and what you know so far, is the strong likelihood that remains were at least at one point in the Badlands General?
Yeah, I'm just not going to comment on that. We're looking for the remains, and these investigation is continuing. We're hoping to find the remains of baby Emmanuel. Yeah, please, Sheriff.
This is to that and to the question before. A problem that we are having in this, basically, even
this guy he's really peed off. You can tell he is, and I don't blame him.
And on the question that was asked 2 questions ago, is someone posts something on social media and then you all believe that it's true.
Exactly.
I actually complimented the mainstream media because you've actually been reaching out to us for comment and actually been printing what we've told you. It hasn't been the sensationalism and the wants for clicks for social media. And that is doing nothing but harming this investigation. And when you form your opinion and come in here and ask questions like that, you're not serving the public in any way. The question way earlier, get some rest. There should be no one out there looking for baby Emmanuel except for us, because all you're going to do is complicate things in the future. And the one thing that I emphasize that I want to make it clear here, the reason this is happening relatively quickly and the reason why we got such a handle on this fast is I believe that the Inland Empire is served better by their 2 sheriff's offices than any place in the state. And this particular case doubled its efforts. So instead of having 4,500 people looking for baby Emmanuel, you had 9,000. And so how did we get all of this information? It's called investigation. And we have 2
You tell them. I mean, he's really peed off, you can see, and I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. It just, imagine, so people, as he said, they're looking for the baby. Other people shouldn't be looking for the baby. Imagine if somebody did find the baby, just stumbled across it, in a bag somewhere or whatever. Would they contaminate the crime scene? It just would cause so many problems, wouldn't it, when it comes to the court case? They're out looking for baby Emmanuel. They will either find him or they won't. Let's hope they do find him. But, that guy who said the question earlier and said, oh, can you let us know when you find him so I can get some rest? He shouldn't even be out there anyway looking.
Entire departments doing nothing but sifting through evidence, searching for evidence, trying to figure out what happened, who was responsible, and how we're going to successfully prosecute it. And misinformation, lies, and purposeful misdirection is going to do nothing but harm this investigation. And I am begging all of you with cameras out here, don't be a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask you what is Spanish and waste mine in English? I know you speak very
You wasted yours in English? I'll get back to you. No, I've already called on you. I'll go ahead. I started with you. Go ahead.
And actually, it was for Sheriff Bianco. I just wanted to follow up with you because the way you were talking so impassioned about what should never happen is that injury to a child. How does this compare to other things that you've seen? You mentioned broken bones in children. You impact me by the way you said that. So I wanted to know how this impacts.
So I have to, cops get a bad rap of being just heartless souls. I will tell you that most police officers are parents, either dads or moms. And there is nothing more traumatic for us to go through than an injury, a death, or harm to a child. Nothing. And there is absolutely nothing that we want more than to bring these investigations to a successful conclusion. And the when we talk about why we're here in the first place, that we believe someone murdered baby Emmanuel, who should still be in prison, but we have this unbelievable love for criminals, believing that they're somehow victims, and now we're all traumatized by it. We were all in this room a couple of years ago when I had a deputy murdered because someone was out on the street that should have been life in prison, but a
John, this is it. You always have to remember that law enforcement, they are human beings. And with that comes all the good things about being human and the bad things. They do bad things. Some of them are bad. Some of them are corrupt. Some of them are not, though. So you do always have to remember that they're human beings doing a difficult job. And, quite often in the members, we look at body cam videos and things. And I'm always, because obviously they're much more transparent in the USA with their body cams and that. But even some body cam videos like from the UK and Australia, etc., and other countries that I cover, they never know what they're walking into. I watched a body cam video of police stopping a woman just for, I don't know, I think it was her tail light wasn't working or she was speeding or whatever. And it turned out she had the bodies of 2 children in her car. And these police found these bodies. And one of them was a little boy just tucked up in a suitcase, deceased. And the police officer was absolutely traumatized by the find because it was the child was more or less the same age as his child. And I'm getting upset thinking about it now, but to see that, how it went from being a routine traffic stop to finding the bodies of 2 children, and it visibly shook these police officers. They are human beings. So, and I'd be the first one to expose one that's bad. Some of them are bad. We see that as well. But not all of them are. And they have to deal with the justice system. Their job now is they've arrested Rebecca and Jake for murder. They've got to make sure whether they find the body of little Emmanuel or not. Their job now is to make sure these monsters get convicted for what they've done and put in prison this time, not bloody probation. And so I'm not surprised he's angry because they're all living it. They're the ones that are trying to find this baby, and someone, if they're successful, someone is going to get the trauma. Although it'd be a relief when they find baby Emmanuel, it will also be a complete trauma to the person that finds him.
Judge let them go. We have an absolute breakdown of the justice system, and we are not preventing other children from being harmed when someone like Jake is allowed to be out on the streets harming children. And so the anger that I have, the frustration that I have, then combined with the misinformation and everything else, when for all of us and our employees, there is nothing more important to us than the death of a human.
I mean, Jake, he wasn't even out on the streets harming children. He was in that child's home harming that child, in the one place you should feel safe. Out on the streets, it is dangerous. You never know who you're going to bump into or meet or whatever. But in your own home, that baby should have been safe with its parents.
Particularly a child.
Okay, I'm going to work the back. Yes, sir.
What kind of evidence did investigators have that led to the arrest of the parents without having the body?
Well, we've got a lot of evidence. We're going to have to play that out in court. I can't lay it out here today. Okay, so yes, right next to him.
Will we see the arrest warrant today, and why or why not? And also, I apologize, can you answer in Spanish as well?
I don't know if we're going to see the arrest warrant today. So that's a pretty short answer for Spanish. So, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, then I'll come back to you.
As far as the timeline, do you believe that baby Emmanuel was alive when the parents came forward to report that he was missing?
I just can't say. I'm not going to give a timeline. Obviously, baby Emmanuel, we have a theory as to when his death occurred. So, and then I've also shared that we believe that when the parents came forward, it was to tell the public something that wasn't true. Going for it. Go ahead.
Are relatives in this case cooperating? And if possible, can you tell us if they're shedding light on?
There's a lot of witnesses. Investigators are tracking down every lead. I'm not going to focus in on who's a relative and who isn't. There's a lot of witnesses in the case that are shedding light. Yes, ma'am.
So, you said that you're the only people that should be looking for Becky Emmanuel. What area are you focusing on, and what's the manpower behind that right now? Because we went out there today and we didn't see anybody in the areas that you were searching for.
Right. So I'm not going to say, as Sheriff Bianco just mentioned, when you have members of the public that are out there doing their own searches, all it does is potentially prejudice and damage the case. So please let the sheriff's departments do their job. They know how to do this, right? We're helping with them, anything they need from us, but they are the ones driving this investigation, and they will track down every lead. I have all the confidence in both of these great sheriffs and their great departments.
Are they out there today, is what I'm saying?
This investigation is ongoing, yes. Yes, ma'am.
In an effort to dispel all of that misinformation that we're seeing on social media, has a plea deal been offered to either Jake or Rebecca? Is that a possibility? And is this a death penalty case?
It's not a death penalty case. We did not and were not able to file special circumstances, and that's what was required for it to be eligible for the death penalty.
Now, he's saying it's not a death penalty case at the moment, but it's shortly he answers another Spanish journalist, and he says there that it's not beyond the realms of possibility, depending on what evidence comes out, it could turn into a death penalty case. But at this moment in time, it's not a death penalty case.
This is, we filed 2 counts of homicide, which in this case is murder, against both Jake and Rebecca. So not a death penalty case. What was the other?
Has a plea deal been offered
No.
to either one, and is that still a possibility?
No, we're not interested in a plea bargain with these individuals. We're interested in a trial and getting to justice. Yes, sir.
Where are we in terms of a representation for these defendants?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not something that I have any knowledge of. Going back, yes, ma'am.
Is there a chance that you may not find baby Emmanuel's body if he's out in the wilderness with wild animals? You know, this could happen. Is there a chance you may not find his remains?
I think you just answered your own question. Of course, this is an investigation. We're searching for evidence. We've got 2 great sheriff's departments doing what they do best. So if there's a chance to find baby Emmanuel's remains, these men and women of these 2 agencies will do it. Yes, sir.
¿Nos podría dar una sinopsis de lo que estamos haciendo hoy día aquí, lo que está anunciando, y especialmente que me hable de por qué está con el sistema acusado por un largo tiempo?
Estamos aquí porque estamos acusando formalmente a Jake y Rebecca Haro de homicidio.
Now, that guy has just asked him to say, like, in Spanish, because obviously there is Spanish viewers, I suppose. So he's just explaining in Spanish, really more or less, what he explained at the beginning of the press conference.
Y de presentar un reporte falso a la policía. Los padres del bebé de 7 meses permanecen detenidos bajo una fianza de $1 million.
So he's just repeated, so they're both charged with murder and also for filing a false police report for the false kidnapping. Also their bail has been set at $1 million. So of course Jake and Rebecca haven't got $1 million, so they're not getting out on bail, are they? So virtually setting the bail at $1 million for people like them is virtually no bail, is it? So he's just explaining this in Spanish.
Más de eso no puedo comentar porque no
Can't say any more than that, he said.
No puedo hablar sobre la evidencia en el caso porque eso tiene que suceder en un tribunal, en corte.
So he's saying court is not court. He said that's the wrong word. I mean, I don't. Anyway, so he's saying, you know, he can't say any more than that. He can't talk about the evidence because that has to come out in court.
¿Puede hablar de que ustedes están convencidos de que Emmanuel fue abusado por un largo periodo de tiempo.
No puedo comentar.
Dijo en inglés.
I can't
No,
comment. I can't
dije
comment.
que sí, estamos convencidos que el bebé fue abusado por un periodo de tiempo.
I was just saying, we're convinced that the baby was abused over a long period of time. Well, say a long, but he only lived 7 months, so you know, but that's long enough to kill him, wasn't it?
O sea, tiene 7 meses, o sea, sobre su vida de 7
During his
meses, que
life.
fue abusado sobre tiempo. Yes, sir.
2 quick questions. One, it was reported by the Riverside Sheriff that day before the arrests, the Riverside Sheriff responded to a child abuse report on Moreno Valley, Cottonwood Street, I think it was called, and it's believed connected to this case. Can you see who that person was? Was it residents or see anything to that?
And just for clarification, maybe sheriff's department, not sheriff. There was a call for service that was generated by Jake that we investigated concerning a child abuse case, and that's all I can give you on that. And it was in Moreno Valley.
Can you say anything about whose residence that was?
No, not at this time.
The other question I want to ask real quick is, apparently there was a falsified San Bernardino Sheriff's report that said there was a surveillance from a Home Depot with the suspects were seen buying a GoFly in a bucket. Can you verify if any of that information is accurate or not?
I think we've answered that already. If you are not getting information from his office or my office, you are doing our public an unbelievable disservice. We don't care what someone posts on social media. And if you all are going to believe that and then generate questions based on those comments, we're not going to get anywhere in this. If it did not come from our 2 agencies, stop believing it. That's all.
Exactly. If it didn't come from the law enforcement agencies, just don't believe it, even if it is a credible social media person. But, you know, they're the only people who know the facts in this case. They and Jake and Rebecca. But what Jake and Rebecca tell other people doesn't mean it's true either.
All I can tell you.
Procurador, si me permite otra vez en español, y es, ¿cuáles son la razón por la que deciden acusar de homicidio a esta pareja? El cuerpo no se ha encontrado, ustedes conocen, pero ¿qué es lo que les lleva a acusar a estos padres de ser responsables de la muerte del bebé?
Son responsables de la muerte de su bebé por la evidencia que hemos.
So he's saying to him, are they responsible for the... Anyway, so what he's replying is, yes, they're responsible, in their opinion, for the death of their baby.
Que ya tenemos, y es cierto que no tenemos el cuerpo del bebé.
It's true we don't have the body of the baby, but we have evidence.
Pero tenemos bastante evidencia y nosotros estamos convencidos
We're convinced that they are the perpetrators.
que fueron responsables del homicidio de su hijo. All right, going forward, where am I? Did you have another question? Go ahead.
This is for Sheriff Chad Bianco. When you guys were on the 60 freeway in the Badlands area searching, we did notice that Jake was out there with the sheriff's department. Was Jake trying to cooperate at any time with the sheriffs during that search?
So we've answered that question, sir. That was Shannon Sheriff Dykes that answered that question of why they were out there. He said that there was some level of cooperation with the defendants, and that's all we can say. Yep, that's all we can say. Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel, because the baby was 7 months approximately when he died, born in December 2024, do you feel that there are people that let this baby down? Not only that judge who let Jay Caro down, but we're talking about 7 months of child abuse or several months of child abuse. Do you think there are other people who failed this baby, possibly by not reporting what they were seeing, what they thought was happening?
Well, certainly this baby was failed by his parents.
Initially, most importantly by his parents, but he was failed by the Child Prosecution Service and those kind of people. This baby was born and then nobody went out to visit a convicted child abuser with another baby. How was this allowed? So yeah, the parents, of course, they're the ones that let him down. But you know, I don't think they should look around the rest of the family and everything. They need to look at the authorities.
So that's first and foremost. So yes, beyond that, I can't comment. But yes, everybody failed this baby that was
Everybody.
close to him. Yes.
Yeah.
There's still some interest, it sounds, and some confusion on the public about what evidence factored into the charges being filed. I believe the Sheriff Dykes in the beginning mentioned the high-tech team in San Bernardino County. Maybe you could help us understand a little what role that team played. There was also a mention of search warrants in cars and the phones.
Yeah.
Technological search and seizure factor into this.
So I can't comment on the evidence in this case, but what I can tell you is that modern homicide investigations are very tech heavy. And we have two very modern, cutting edge sheriff's departments in Riverside County and in San Bernardino County. And so, yes, what you mentioned was the high tech crimes unit of the San Bernardino DA's office, their Bureau of Investigation. They assisted. And beyond that, I can't say what they found. That can't get into the evidence. But yeah, this case is going to be built on, like almost all homicide cases now, electronic, digital evidence. It all comes into play. Go ahead.
Did the family ever seek medical attention for baby Emmanuel since he was born to the day he was missing?
I can't comment on that. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
What's next?
What's next is, first and foremost, the investigation will continue, and it's led by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, and then also Riverside County Sheriff's Department assisting, and then the prosecution will begin. We filed the case. The case will begin to work its way through the criminal justice system here in Riverside County. Other folks, yes, we're coming to the end here, I think. Go ahead.
There's been talk of the grandmother as well, maybe being involved. Can we expect any more arrests, or are you looking at anybody else responsible?
Not at this time. No, we're not looking at anybody else. We believe that this is the filings in court that will be in this case. Now that could change if new evidence comes in. Yes, sir.
Did the house fire next door have anything to do with this, or is it completely unrelated?
I'm not aware of a house fire next door. So,
Now that was strange.
yes, sir.
Now that he said, I'm not aware of a house fire next door. Well, of course there was a house fire. It wasn't next door, was it, or was it? But it was one of the neighbours, wasn't it? And yet he just straight away says, I'm not aware of a house fire next door, which strange really, because he doesn't say I can't comment. I mean, right from the beginning with that fire, the police have said it wasn't connected, but only time will tell.
The 2-year-old daughter that was taken by Child Protective Services on the scene, was there any signs of abuse, either current or prior?
I'm not going to comment. Sorry, I can't talk about that. Anything else?
Sí, procurador, disculpe, en español. Las acusaciones ahorita son asesinato malicioso, doloso. En español, de encontrar el cadáver y otra evidencia, pudiera cambiar a que usted presentara cargos de asesinato con circunstancias especiales
Sí.
que acreditaran.
So this is where this guy asked that if they do find the body of Emmanuel, in Spanish he asked, is it possible that the death penalty then would be on the table, depending on the circumstances? And he says yes.
La pena de muerte para esta pareja.
Sí. Podría cambiar si encontramos más evidencia y la situación cambia.
They said it could change, it could be introduced if we find more evidence and the situation changes. Just at this moment, the death penalty is not on the table. But if it could change depending on what evidence they find.
Los cargos pueden cambiar. Anything else? I think we're
That's
closing up
it.
here. Anybody have any last questions? Yes, go ahead.
When are they going to be in court?
Do you know when? September 4th. The court date will be September 4th.
So September 4th is the next court date.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
And that's it. So I don't know about you. I thought it was a very good press conference, very interesting. I like the way they got angry with the judge. You know, I like the way he was quite forceful with the reporters and put down all the false rumours, etc. So you know, in my opinion, it was a good press conference, and I just hope they find little Emmanuel and then, you know, put the case together and successfully prosecute these people. Okay, so I'm going, but I will be back tonight with Members Live. Why not become a member? Because tonight in Members Live, we will have, we're going to have a laugh at the Twonks' expense, because I've been preparing lots of what I call doubles, like, so, you know, presenting certain perpetrators with other people that I think they look like. Like, remember, I did this one the other day with Erin and this courtroom sketch and the Scream portrait. So I've put together quite a few more. I think I've got 3 with Erin in, but the rest of them are other perpetrators and who I think they look like, or artworks that I think they look like that they wouldn't be impressed with, put it that way. Just for a bit of light relief, and also to poke fun at these horrible people. Because they deserve it. What else? So yeah, if you want to join us for that, that'll be tonight. Probably might be at 9 o'clock actually tonight, Spanish time, which is 8 o'clock UK time. I'm not sure what time that is, Australian and American time, etc. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing in members and having a chat as we always do. I think that's it. So just a little prayer that they find baby Emmanuel, because it's important, not only for hopefully then the death penalty might come on the table. I mean, do you know what? I keep saying, I don't really agree with the death penalty, but you know, sometimes for some people like Jake Harrow, what he's done to his other baby, and now it seems to Emmanuel, that's why he's hidden that baby's body, because that baby will probably have fractures everywhere. And you know what? It doesn't matter. You can't hide the skeleton. Do you know what I mean? Even if the skeleton will tell a lot of stories as far as fractures and breakages are concerned. This poor little baby never stood a chance. I hope it's sleeping in the arms of angels now. One thing is for sure, it's away from that monster, isn't it? That piece of shit, total piece of shit. Let's put the piece of shit picture up again. Yeah, my name is I'm Big Jake. Big Jake. I'm a great big brick shithouse of a man, but I'm good at just abusing babies. He wouldn't know how to stand up to somebody who is really tough. He hits women and he tortures babies. That's what he does. He's a total POS. And I hope he gets his comeuppance. So, if you remember, I will see you later. If not, I'll see you probably tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I'm preparing, actually. I'm working on a video at the moment about a case that I've been wanting to cover for a long time that I think you'll find interesting. Not one of the best known cases ever, but a story that needs telling, I think. A lady who needs her storytelling and needs never to be forgotten, because she was a very vulnerable woman, and she was let down. But anyway, that's a video that I'm working on. But I'll see you tonight, and take care, have a great day, and until Fluffy, I thought it was too. Until I see you again, may your God, as always, go with you. Thank you.